welcome back, Rankers. You good? I just went today to the AUDA Extraordinary General Meeting. So what happened was AUDA is Australian Domain Name Administrator. A lot of people are upset with them at the moment, so there was an extraordinary general meeting called by the members, and I got up and spoke about direct registration and moving of domain names, because we have just finished moving our domain name, and I wanted to explain to these people who are proposing a new top-level domain name for Australia called .au, what a disaster it would be for most businesses who decided to make the switch to a .au from, say, a .com.au or even a .net.au. So, as many of you know, back in April, we decided to switch from our .biz domain name to .com.au. And the reason that we decided on that is because it's been one of those things we're going to be doing for years. Originally got the .biz back in '99 because back then we were dealing a lot with the US with content, and in 1999, 2000, the US didn't really know what a .com.au was. Things have changed significantly, I would say. So we've put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. And if you've ever looked at an SEO's homepage, well, certainly in the last 10 years, SEO homepages don't change a lot. SEO sites tend not to change a lot if they are already ranking well. And certainly that was the case with us for a bunch of years. So I think we were number one for SEO in Melbourne, or SEO Melbourne, I should say, for about 7 or 8 years. And then we pushed a new site live. We lost some of those rankings. Anyway, this is what happened this time. So .biz is here, where we're still on .biz at this point, and we do the switch to .com.au the day after, and then you can see the immediate drop in traffic here, this big section of drop, and that is domain name change, okay? And that's when you do it properly, you're still going to get a drop, and you can see that it was lower than last year, and we took a hit on the traffic prior to that, and then you can see it come back, and of course, up here, it's better than what it was last year now because we're on the .com.au, so we've got a better brand for users to understand, and they can see it's an Australian site quite easily, and they're not going to be taken off to a .biz in the US, which is, we suspect, what many thought. So all of this took time. So when you're moving from one domain to another domain, and it could be the same top-level domain, or it could be two .coms, and you're acquiring a business or whatever it might be. But if you are moving domain names, and I've done 3 or 4 in the last 12 months, and the bigger that your brand, the quicker this dip will be, or the shorter this dip will be. So for instance, with ProBlogger, it was only really a couple of weeks of about 10% less traffic from Google. With Retail Global, it took a bit longer. Probably not, obviously not a stronger brand because it was a new brand. And and with ProBlogger, they were going from ProBlogger.net to ProBlogger.com. So you've got at least a consistency of the domain part, if not the extension part. So there were all these sorts of things and variables that play into it. But essentially, the stronger that your brand, or the more robust that people are looking for you, the more people that are typing your brand in, the change or this dip will certainly be a lot shorter than ours, because we've never pushed our brand that hard. So, and we will be, by the way. So the other things that we did in here, of course, we launched a new site as well. And we went from, we upgraded WordPress, new theme, but all of that, to get through all that, took about 12 weeks. And a lot of that time is waiting and adjusting. And you can see all these little annotations here of, what we did, and we moved to Cloudflare, and we did the CDN on Cloudflare as well as the DNS. What else did we do? We had weird URLs start to turn up in for HubSpot in the Google index, and it was one of the most amazing things for me is how many people don't know how to just do a site colon search of your domain name and find out what's in there, find out what Google knows about your site. And that's one of the main activities that you're doing when you're changing this domain. So the way that we approach it is that if you're doing a domain name change, I keep doing, looking every day, checking the index to find out if the old domain has now disappeared and the new domain is fully indexed. And what I found with the .biz in our situation, there were still a few misreportings or false positives of URLs that were indexed under .biz. But when I went and looked at Google Search Analytics, there was no traffic going to .biz. So there was no impressions coming up, and there was certainly no clicks going through because there's no impressions, right? So at that point, I said, right, we can now do a manual removal of the old domain from the Google index. And that happened around here, right? And of course, we'd launched the other site as well. So I should probably put my glasses on because you can probably see. Did the manual removal, I know, that happened around here. Yeah, around here. And then we did the site change, and it wasn't until about a month ago the tide started turning for us. So, but it does take a while if you're doing this. So for a domain name, you've got to also do a change of address if you're changing domains. You've got to do that in Google Search Console. And you've got to do all the normal things that you would do for a site migration. You've got to go through and do all your redirects. If you are changing your site as well, like we did, then you've got to make sure you're carrying across all those SEO elements. But it's certainly worth it once you get through it, but you have to get through it. So if you are considering getting another domain, moving domains, whether it be something in Australia or some other TLD, just make sure that you understand the full cost. So for me to do that for someone, it would probably cost them, I don't know, probably around 10 to 12 grand for us if we were on the job for 4 months doing this, around that number. Plus then you've got the costs of the lost traffic if it's done properly. So if it's not done properly, the lost traffic is going to be worse. So just be aware of that and understand the full costs when you are moving domains. That's it for this week. Hopefully that's helpful. Please share the show. Easy for me to say. Please share the show. And if you have any questions, comments, otherwise you can leave them at YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest way to find out when new shows are out. And also hit us up on sharpmedia.com.au or if you're on Smart Company, leave some comments there and we'll talk to you there. Thanks very much, everyone. See you next week.